Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Media Matters by Anfield Index. It is Monday, the 28th of July. It is a little bit later than we normally do it, but think about it this way: we've given plenty of things time to develop, and there's plenty of things we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about off the field. We've actually got a game to discuss as well at the same time, so that'll be interesting. And I'm joined as ever by the renowned and the respected David Lynch, who you can tell us honestly, you are enjoying actually talking about or the chance to talk about a game rather than just transfers for once.
Yeah, I mean, you can't kind of, as a journalist, can't be too down on this period in terms of doing the transfers because it's good for us to work on. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting for supporters. It's really interesting to write about and get into. But of course, there are some downsides, which is that social media is a bit kind of toxic around transfers sometimes, and so that side of it is a bit downside. So, but I've always, obviously, I mean, the thing, and this surely is true of everyone or any sane football fan, is that the matches are the best bit. That's the thing that got us all into it. They are superior to the transfers, even if some people forget that sometimes. So, yeah, really nice to have a game to talk about, and we're getting close to the season starting, aren't we?
Yeah, true. It is not too far away. And in fact, the Reds themselves, they've got another game on Wednesday, haven't they, against Yokohama, 11:30 British time. And we might as well get into Saturday's game. I mean, an interesting one, partly because of who was available, who wasn't. But if we talk about the game itself, a 4-2 defeat, a raft of changes, obviously a completely different team in the first half, completely different team in the second half as well, almost two false tens as well to start with. What were your actual thoughts on the performance, even if it was the two halves or the overall thoughts?
Yeah, I guess you've got to disregard the results at times. Although, I've previously said, and I think this is true, that Slot would prefer to win these games generally because I think, winning is a habit. I think it was helpful last season that they won a few preseason games. It really built confidence, albeit probably slightly different in terms of the importance of results this time because he's not bedding in a new team completely. It's kind of, there's a core there that knows exactly what's expected of them. So there's probably a bit more experimentation going on in this one and trying kind of new things. And then it's going to be going back to, once the season starts, the things that they're familiar with, really. So you maybe shouldn't hang too much, I guess, on the results. So we won't. So I guess some of the things they're looking for is performance and whether they are able to pull off some of the new tactical things they're trying, just how everybody's looking in terms of sharpness and things like that, and any new tactical tweaks we're seeing. So in terms of that, I thought a lot to like, really. I mean, particularly first half, which was a stronger team overall, I think. Thought Liverpool played some really nice stuff, some really quick passing, some really nice movement, a couple of standouts there in terms of performance as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But the team performance as a whole, I think in that first half was pretty decent, really. And I think in terms of one of the things, I think Milan won the game because, they took an approach, didn't he? Was, I don't know, it's good practice, I guess, for the season that's to come, but it was very much kind of sit deep, soak up pressure and hit on the counter, which wasn't kind of something Liverpool was set up to counter themselves in a pre-season friendly. They stayed with a stronger team for a longer period in the game as well. So I think that contributed. But I think there's a lot of positives that Arne Slot will take as well from it.
Yeah, there definitely was. And almost in a way, as much as people talk about the team, and we'll go into it a bit more, individuals got called out. And probably I'm sure the lad on the screen is going to come up. But there were quite a few sort of shining stars or good performances, weren't there?
Yeah, I mean, to talk about Ngamo, I thought he was very, very good again. I mean, after you see him at Preston, you kind of like, oh, well, definitely League Cup minutes for him, FA Cup minutes this season coming up if Liverpool get favourable draws, and then you see him again against AC Milan, and you kind of like, well, maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe maybe we see a Premier League debut from him. Maybe we see more from him coming this season, because I know he's only 16. He's about to turn 17, but he just looks pretty good, doesn't he? And I said this in my own video analysis of it, that the thing I like the most from him is that he did all the things we're excited about. He's so good in take-ons, really quick exchanges, good feet, all these aspects that we've seen. But there's a left-footed shot he gets off at one point that I just love, because I just think he needs to have that up his sleeve. He needs to be powerful shooting on his wrong foot as well, because that then really creates doubt in defenders' minds. And again, the fact he's got that in his lock. In fact, that might actually be the shot in the picture there, to be honest. And he really tests the keeper with that. So I love that. I mean, he just showed, he can go either way, and he's going to be a threat there. He's already shown a bit of end product as well. So a lot to be excited about around this kid, really, and really interested to see what role he plays in the season going forward, really, because I know from speaking to people as well, he's worked really hard coming into this preseason, so he's grasping his chance absolutely, and everybody's been very impressed with him. So very much looking forward to seeing what's more to come. And in terms of other standouts, really, wanted to pick out Wirtz, really, because I thought, he didn't actually kind of do that much. Again, instead that the numbers from his game weren't that impressive, but some of the touches, the movement, some of the little exchanges with other players were just so delightful. He's just clearly an absolute class act, isn't he? And again, we're only getting our first glimpses of him now. I can't wait to see more. And he's, all this talk about Isak and all these things that are going on in the background, all these changes Liverpool are making. The fact his signing was wrapped up quite early, we're almost kind of forgetting about him a little bit. And he's going to be one of Liverpool's best players this season, almost certainly, if he stays fit, because he's one of the best players in the world, and Liverpool are very lucky to get him. So really excited about him as well.
There was that one, I think it was the first half, where there was the quick interchange with Salah, the 1-2 after a fired ball. And you kind of wondered why Salah tried to play it in back. He didn't just sort of bend it into the far corner like he normally does on his left foot. But there was so much to like, especially from those two. And people will also look at it and trying to be balanced here. Like you said, 4 goals conceded. I mean, one's a goalkeeping defensive error, but quite a few on the break. Is there anything to be maybe concerned too strong about, but they'll look at, do you think, or just analyse from that one at all?
Yeah, I think it's something the manager will talk about. I mean, he's big on details, and that was a key detail from the game, wasn't it? So when they watched the game back the day after, no doubt they'll have been focused on that. That said, there will be the caveats there that they will completely acknowledge, which is that they're doing double sessions at the moment. So running back in to stop a counter-attack is much more difficult than it will be when the season starts. The heat out in Hong Kong that they're training in as well is a factor. And, in terms of levels of determination, I'm not sure they're going to be at the absolute highest for a pre-season friendly versus when the important games come around. So, like I say, there's a lot of caveats and mitigation there, I think. But, I think it's something he'll talk to the players about, and he'll hope not to see a repeat of that in the games that are coming up. I think Dave is maybe frozen there. So it looks like I'm going to be hosting as well. I think one of the things, actually, just looking at our agenda that we go through here, one of the next topics we were going to talk about was the Forever 20 memorial around Diogo Jota. So I think actually just to talk about that, because it is definitely worth talking about, is I think what they're doing with the talk about building a statue around Anfield, I think is a brilliant gesture. And I think the prints on the shirts as well is really nice. And what I kind of loved as well was that the fans in Hong Kong as well got to pay their special tribute as well, because I think, we always say, Liverpool is a big club, isn't it? It's a worldwide club. And, for those fans to get their moment to show their support to the players as well, I think was really, really special, wasn't it? So, I was glad to see that. And I'm glad about the long-term tributes that they're going to put in place as well around Diogo, because I think that's really fitting. And it's right that, it is going to be something that defines the upcoming season, the absence of Diogo Jota. I think it's something that we're all kind of coming to terms with at the moment. But it's that's going to be, I think those tributes are absolutely spot on. I think it's typical of Liverpool that they've absolutely judged that right, as they have, I think, with everything that they've done through this period. And again, so I'm going to start asking myself the questions here as we wait for Dave to come back. Sorry about this, guys, but I think the next topic on the agenda was around the vice captaincy as well, which obviously you may have seen some speculation around who that's going to be. Obviously that there is that vacancy there with Trent having left, and I imagine at this point Dave was going to ask me who I think it should be and who I'm thinking it's going to be, and I have to say I probably think it's my call on that is that it's probably going to be Mo Salah. I think he'd be the right pick when you look at experience levels. The again, he's renowned, isn't he, as someone who is, such a good person around the place in terms of the levels of professionalism that he sets, and his character really is someone who wants to squeeze absolutely everything out of himself. I always remember that story that Harvey Elliott tells actually about when he goes to pick up a piece of bread when he's eating his dinner at Kirby, and Mo Salah was like, no, not if you want abs that look like this, not if you want to be as fit as me. And, again, that's what a vice captain should be about. I think it should be about setting standards. He's also a little bit more vocal, I think, than Trent was as well. For all the talk about Trent being a future Liverpool captain, I never really kind of bought into that, in the sense that I never thought that he was kind of the right character for it. Not vocal enough, not necessarily kind of a guy who even led by example in the way that maybe a Steven Gerrard would. So I never felt like he was a fit. Whereas I think with Salah, he is a renowned leader around the place, really. And for me, he's going to start every game. He'll be there to pick up the armband in case Virgil's not starting for whatever reason as well. And I think someone who's going to be on the pitch every game and someone who sets the example that he does is an ideal captain, really. I wonder if Dave is ever going to come back. Here he is.
I've got it like that. Literally, you were talking. I was like nodding. Then all of a sudden you went, and then I was like, "Yeah, sorry, that was me completely."
So just to catch you up, by the way, Dave, I spoke with myself about the Diogo Jota tributes and also the vice captaincy, which I am, by the way, I'm giving that to Mo Salah. So take it from there if you want. Really, I'm glad not to be hosting and being on here as well. It's quite a difficult job.
I did actually want to ask you, especially around the, I suppose, the vice captaincy, the leadership group, because you probably saw it. There was a few having a joke with Robbo, who was honest and said, "No, I've not heard anything. I've not been told." But Arne Slot's almost alluded to, like, he's made his call, but I'll tell people at the right time. I suppose the other angle was there's so many candidates for this. Was there anyone you were looking at and thinking, that's who I bring into the leadership group? Because obviously
I think Dave's frozen again. So we're talking about the leadership group, though. I'll take that up there. It is an interesting one with that, because there are a few vacancies there. I saw people in the chat mentioning maybe Szoboszlai. I think he is a good leader. I think obviously Hungarian captain at quite a young age. He's known as a big personality around the place. So, I think he maybe is a decent candidate to come in there. And someone else who doesn't get talked about really around this, and I suppose the reason that he maybe won't be put forward for this is because of his contract situation. But I think Ibrahima Konate has taken some really big steps in terms of that. He's something he spoke about a couple of seasons ago, really, about wanting to grow into a leader and wanting to take more responsibility. And by all accounts, and everyone you speak to at Liverpool, is that he's definitely done that. One of the reasons he had a much better injury record last season, actually, he said, was because he's taken his preparation and looking after his body a lot more seriously. So that, to me, is the kind of thing that you need from a leader, as I said, exactly with Mo Salah, really. So Konate is doing all those aspects, and those are the things you want from a leader. So maybe he's got a shout to come into it, although I think a key there with Konate is that he sorts out his contract situation. But if he does, I wouldn't be against seeing Konate come into that leadership group. Absolutely.
Brill. And I suppose the only final one I wanted to ask you, it's Yokohama coming up on Wednesday. We know there's a few departed, there's a few will be available. I'm guessing we're not expecting the two false tens, probably Ekitike maybe to get his first minutes as well, something a bit more like what you expect maybe.
Yeah, you could even see Isak get a start. We'll have to see how we get on in terms of that. But I'm thinking there'll be a few changes. Yeah, I think it'd be nice to see Ekitike come in there, wouldn't it, just to get a few minutes, see how that works. I think this double tens thing, they actually did use it last season, didn't they? But it's it's definitely going to be. It's not going to be a plan for this season. I don't think. I'd be surprised if they did sign Isak. I'd be very surprised if you see that double tens at any point. So I think it's just a case of getting players on the pitch, getting them fit, getting them the run out that they need in pre-season. So hopefully, there's not that long now till the season starts. You're kind of running out of friendlies. So they're going to start to have to kind of nudge towards something that's a bit more of a sane team, and maybe, fewer changes as they build up the fitness. So, Yeah, it'd be interesting. But I think the thing I'm looking forward to most from that really is to see a bit more of Wirtz and to see a bit more of and to see some of Ekitike, because we really haven't seen any of him at all, apart from little clips in training or whatever. So excited to see how he fits into it as well.